Welcome to another session with Tangled Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And today we are going to explore two tangles, days 7 and 8 of Inktober Tangles. We'll be taking a look at Foundabout, which is this one here by Zentangle. And we'll also look at Barz by Alice Hendon. For this project, you're going to need a regular size Zentangle tile or piece of paper. You'll also need a pencil, a tortillon, and a black pen. I'll be using an apprentice pen. And if you're ready to start, we'll need our pencil. And we are going to begin with making the 4 dots, one in each corner. I'm working a little darker so you can see on the camera, but usually I make these much lighter. Once you have the 4 dots, we are going to connect each of the dots 2 at a time. And just rotate your tile each time so that it's easier for you. And just work your way around. Okay, we're back at the beginning. Now we're going to switch to our black pen. And for this one, I'm going to work diagonally for Foundabout. Foundabout was created by Maria Thomas. She's very creative and she likes to do these meandering type of tangles, and this is one of them. It weaves back and forth, so it's very fun to do, and it's a very organic tile. Works well with the more botanical type of images. So let's start in the corner here. We're just going to make a curve, and then we're going to sort of aura that curve just like that. So you have a nice little, it sort of looks like a stem, I think. And then about, I would say halfway into the stem, you're going to build off of that with another curve. And you're going to aura that as well. Have another stem. And we're just going to keep going. I'm going in a diagonal direction. So I'm just going to keep building on back and forth. And if you notice, sometimes I start at the bottom and go up. And then sometimes I start at the top and go down. It's entirely up to you, whatever is more comfortable for you. And as you can see, we're kind of getting smaller and smaller as we make our way up to the top. And I think I'll just put one more little one in there. So we have something that looks kind of like this that goes back and forth. So I worked on the right and then the left and the right and the left all the way up to the top. Once you get to this point, we can go to step 2, and we're going to add another curve shape. Like this. And your curve might be a little different from mine, and that's okay. And I like to, again, go back and forth, right, left, but you might have a different way of doing it. We just keep going back and forth, back and forth. Take your time. You don't have to go as quickly or as slowly as I am. Once you get to the top, you can kind of stop there. Give you some time to catch up. And then the next part is a little trickier. I kind of have to think about it sometimes. I'm going to start over here. And we're kind of aura-ing this shape here. But we have to kind of take off and land on the other side. And then I go back to this shape and bring that over as well. So I just kind of keep going back and forth. And it actually creates this nice little, almost like a bud or a seed pod effect. I'll just kind of finish that there. So it's a very cool, organic, botanical type of tangle. And once I get that, I enjoy actually, and this is optional, you can either shade it with a pencil or you can add some ink lines in here just for some detail. And I tend to go back and forth, working within the shapes. That's a nice little detail. But you can choose not to do that, or you can go back in and fill that in with some graphite. And since we're combining, we're making a project with two different tangles, I'm going to do something a little extra with this one. And I'm going to actually aura around this first tangle that we did. So I'm just going to take my time and aura around it. And this is just so that we can get a better definition of this shape so it doesn't get lost with the other tangle that we're going to do. So I chose to start on the right side, but you might have chosen to start on the left side, and that's okay. And once I have the right side done, I'm going to come back down here to the bottom and start on my left side. There's really no right or wrong way, just whatever feels most comfortable to you as you learn to create your own style. And there, we finished adding an aura around the Foundabout tangle. And then to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to add some little orbs. I love adding little orbs, and you'll see that throughout my work. They're called tipple, And I like to add them just randomly, really, wherever my heart desires. But typically within the little valleys or areas here. You can add as many or as little as you want. And sometimes I put a few in and then I'll go back and think about it and add some more. And that's totally fine. And then what I like to do is go back in and ink in these little areas here. Just makes it stand out that much better. Remember to rotate your tile so that you're working comfortably. All right. Do I want to add some more? Maybe I want to add one out here, kind of hanging on. Do the same out here. So there's many different things you can do with tipple. And it's just one of my favorite little tangles to add. All right, I think I have enough of those. So that, before we forget, let's turn out our tile over and let's add the information. I always like to write down what I'm working on. And this was Foundabout by Zentangle. Okay. So now for our second tangle, which is Inktober date 8, and that's called Barz. I'm just going to add that information right now so you can see how it's spelled. It's Barz, Barz, by CZT Alice Hendon. Okay. So Barz is one of those fun tangles that it'd be great for like a steampunk themed project. And it's really simple, but it adds a really nice effect. We're going to start with straight lines, and you could do variations with curved or wavy lines, but we're just going to work with straight lines today. And I'm going to work up and down, but it's easier for me to work on the side. So I'm going to rotate my tile, and I'm just going to go straight up for my first line. And I like to keep these maybe, I want to say like a centimeter, not quite half an inch. You can have them as narrow or as wide as you'd like. But for learning purposes, I'm going to try to keep them kind of consistent. So we already have a tangle here, so I'm just going to kind of float over the tangle until we get to a point where I can put my pen down and keep going straight. And then I'm going to move over a little bit and keep going that way. So you're going to take off and land on the other side and get our mostly straight lines in there. I'm just going to finish this off here. Once we have our lines in there, within each column, we're going to add short little lines. They can be straight, they can be diagonal. I like to just randomly add them here and there. So it can be kind of almost straight. And I can put one down here, one there. Oops, I'm gonna have to continue that straight line there. So wherever you feel like you'd like to add a line, go ahead and put one in. You get something that looks sort of like this. And then on either side of these short little lines, we're going to put 2 dots. They kind of remind me of like nails if you were pounding a board in or something like that. And so for each one, you're going to have dots on both sides of the line. Once you have those filled in, I just need to finish this off here, kind of go back and look through and make sure you have all of your little dots filled in. I like to go back and just finish this off with an ink line for this particular project. And there we go. We're all finished with our pen for right now. And we're going to need our pencil. I have a sweet little Zentangle pencil here, but you can use any number 2 pencil. And if you like your shading darker, you can also use a softer graphite pencil. And we're going to start with shading Foundabout. And I'm going to kind of start inside and work our way out. So along our stem here, I'm going to add a layer of graphite. I'm working a little bit dark so that you can see it easier. But I would suggest working a little lighter because you can always go back and add more, but you can't really take it away once you've put it on there. And I'm just adding that along the little almost stem-like features that we have. And I'm going to do the same on the other side too. And this is just one way you could shade this. As you experiment with this tangle, you'll probably figure out other ways you'd like to shade it. And then I'm going to take the pencil and I'm just going to add a layer of graphite all around the outside of the aura and also around the little orbs around the tipple there, because I really want to make Foundabout stand out. So just take your time and add the graphite, remembering to Rotate your tile as you go so that you're comfortable. Shading is one of my favorite parts, so I like to take my time when I do this, but you're welcome to go as quickly or as slowly as you'd like. I've rotated my tile upside down because that's just how I work. All right, so at this point, you have something that kind of looks like this. And then I'm going to add some graphite to the bars. I like to choose either the left or the right when working up and down. So for this particular one, I'm going to choose having the graphite kind of on the right side of each column. And just keeping that consistent with each one. And the same with the shorter lines. I have to pick either putting the graphite above the line or below the line. And I'm going to choose to put the graphite below the line. And again, I'm working a little bit darker here so you can see it better. And then I also like to add graphite around around this one, just to make everything pop out a little better. Okay. Once you have that, we can set our pencil aside and pick up the tortillon. If you don't have one of these, you can use your finger to blend, or you can use a cotton swab or a Q-tip. So don't worry if you don't have this. These are pretty reasonable. You can get them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. They're pretty reasonable, or you can purchase them online. So take your tortillon, and it's just a simple motion of going back and forth. I'm going to start inside the Foundabout and just work my way up. And it's just literally rubbing the tortillon back and forth. It makes this lovely scratching sound as it hits the paper. So I went all the way up the right side, and I'm going to go up the other side. And you'll notice once you get some graphite on the tip of the tortillon, even if you didn't add graphite from the pencil, you still have plenty on there to add some shading in other spaces, which is really cool. Once I have that done, I'm going to work around the Foundabout. I'm just taking my time, kind of blending it how I go. As you can see, like I can pull the graphite out more, which is really fun to do. Rotated my tile so it's a little more easy for me to work on it. That is all shaded in. And then I'm going to go and work on the bars. Just doing the longer lines first. And just kind of bringing that out a bit. And once those are done, then I work on the shorter lines. And then finally, I'm just going to shade all the way around this project. At this point, you can take a look at it, and if you feel your shading is too light, you can go back in with your pencil and add more graphite, and then go back in with a tortillon and do the shading again. I like to shade mine a little darker, but you might prefer it to be light. That's entirely up to you. But once you're done with your shading, you'll go back in with your pen, and let's put our initials in there, our chop. And this is the fun part, kind of deciding where that's going to go. And for this particular one, I'm just going to maybe work it into here in the corner. I like to put my initials in there like that. Okay. And then I'm going to turn it over, and I just like to sign it and put the date on it. So I'm working on October 9th because I'm a little bit behind on my Inktober Tangles challenge, but that's okay. And I put in Foundabout by Zentangle, Barz by Alice Hendon, and we also did tipple. So I'm just going to add that there. All right. So that was days 7 and 8 of the Inktober Tangles. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. And I hope you subscribe to my channel and visit me for more upcoming tutorials. Okay, I love you guys. Be well.